You're listening to The Venomous Fringe, Cryptids and Paranormal, with hosts Chris Fringe and Ryan Tremblay. Join them as they dive into the macabre of our world and dive into the madness and the mysteries that lie above it. Our guest at this time, he is the host of Ghost Trackers UK and paranormal investigator Scott Lee Bauer. Scott, welcome to the Venomous Fringe. How are you?
Hello, Chris. How are you? And thank you for inviting me on.
My pleasure, Scott. I'm doing very good. And how are you on your end? It's great to have you here. I must say, I appreciate the
Thank you very
time.
much. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Absolutely. No, I'm happy to hear. It's crazy because there's obviously a time difference by you and time difference by me and Ryan as well. So I want to thank you again for doing this so late by your time.
I'm a bit of a night walk. I do a lot of work at night, especially when I'm at home, sort of, because at the moment, as you can tell with that, we're all on lockdown at the moment and we can't go out and investigate. And I'm just keeping busy by doing a lot of editing, what I have done before the lockdown type of thing.
I can imagine. I know by me, the lockdown is still ongoing. I know that there's there's a lot of talk of opening up a few places and stuff like that, but because of
There
the
is over
lockdown, it's
here
crazy.
too.
Yeah, I know that for the times that it is right now, we'll have to wait and see. But I can imagine for a lot of researchers, people can't go to anywhere because of the lockdown. So it must be
Absolutely.
tough for you to do that in that event, though. You know, for someone who
Well,
likes.
it is hard. I mean, I'm not it's probably hard for a lot of people, investigators and that out there, and we all want to go out, but we're all abiding to the rules. We're all staying in and everything like that. It is hard, but we just got to you know
Oh, I
ride
agree.
through them, I suppose,
No,
until
and
it's all over.
I agree with that. It's been pretty crazy for us all, but hopefully it'll be all over sooner or later, and we can all hope for the best and go out and research, especially in the
Yeah,
woods and stuff.
definitely. Could I quickly say something, please, if that's okay with you, my friend?
Yeah, by all means.
I would just like to say to all your listeners, I hope and wish that they are all safe and well.
Thank you for that. I mean, personally, I know that in the past few shows, me and Ryan have put out that relief as well. But I mean, to hear it from everybody else and you as well, I mean, thank you. Yeah, I mean, everyone listening in who, it's one of those things, what's going on. So we're all hoping for everybody's safety. But yeah, and thank you for that because we all need to
We're
hear that
going through
positivity.
terrible times at the moment, and we all got to stick together.
Nonetheless, though, I mean, for what it is, I mean, at least to sit here and talk with you about some amazing paranormal content and what you've been doing, it is a great blessing and an honor. And I think it'd be good for the listeners to hear a little something besides what the news is posting out about the outbreak and pandemic. But, Scott, the $1 million question that I think everybody asks, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and your start with paranormal.
Well, my name is Scott Lee Bauer. I am the host of Ghost Trackers UK TV show and also my other channel called Scott Bauer Paranormal. I am a paranormal investigator and a psychic medium from the UK. I investigate the paranormal and the strange. I also help people that have got hauntings and things like that. I go and do clearances for people free of charge. I don't ask for no money or anything like that because I don't believe in that sort of thing. I like helping people that have got hauntings and things like that, and we go and investigate the most haunted places in the UK.
And the UK, as someone who is from the US, I would be imagine that there's a lot of paranormal activity in the UK.
There's a lot of very, very, very old buildings like castles, ruins, that type of thing. And yes, there is a lot of paranormal activity within them.
When was the time where you yourself wanted to get into being a paranormal investigator? Was it from an encounter or was it from interest?
Um, it all really started when I was a very, very young young boy. Um, I used to love going up my nan and granddad, staying the weekend, staying up there occasionally after school and then going home again. And they had a china doll, shall we say, to begin with, on their bureau cabinet upstairs between my bedroom, and I used to stay there, uh, to where the toilet was. And sometimes you would hear footsteps, you would hear, scraping on the wall, whispering, that type of thing. And occasionally, when you would wake up in the middle of the night to go to the loo, you would have to walk past this freaky thing to go to the loo. And one time, I literally caught it looking at me just by an inch. I caught it looking at me. Now, bear in mind, I was a 6-year-old little boy, terrified. I didn't know what paranormal was. I didn't know what haunted dolls were. I didn't know what any of that was. So I literally grabbed hold of it, chucked it down the stairs, and it obliterated all over the floor. Now, bear in mind, I did get grounded and told off for it, but the worst bit is next to come. This China doll I believe to be haunted, and I reckon that that spirit followed me from my nan's to my home, gave me hell for the next 2 years. I lost a lot of sleep. I had nightmares. I had the same footsteps, the same banging, the same whispering that had followed me to my home, and I had what you call a Mara experience. I couldn't sleep at night. I was terrified to go to sleep, and that lasted for pretty much 2 years. That did.
Now, I can tell you this. I know that there's many cases that for a lot of researchers, they have experiences when they were children. And I can tell you one thing, when you're young, you don't even know what you're seeing. If anything, you think it's just another
No, you don't
person.
know. That's so true.
I think in general, too, another thing, your mind is perplexed because when you're a kid, your mind is focused on a whole bunch of things. Besides going out and playing and stuff, and then you see something that you don't know what it is, and it's a total stranger. You're taken aback by it, and to see a
Yes.
spirit like that, I'm sure that it definitely messed with you for a long time. It changed
Oh
your
God, yeah.
perception.
It did. Funny enough. Funny enough. I am now a haunted doll collector, and I collect haunted dolls, and I also collect haunted objects as well.
What kind of haunted objects specifically?
Haunted dolls mainly, but also things like bric-a-brac as well, like, say, for argument's sake, a jewellery box that could be haunted, a piece of jewellery that could be haunted, that kind of thing I collect.
Okay, so like miscellaneous items, not like something that would be like so anything like for example like if it was a jewelry box as you said or like a container something like that. And that's just out of curiosity because I've
Absolutely. But my main thing that I like to collect are haunted dolls.
I find it interesting because I've spoken to a few paranormal researchers who've messed with some dolls before, and I mean that in a good way, by the way. Like
Yeah.
they've collected dolls and they've actually sat the dolls down, asked a few questions, and simply some of these dolls, and it's not, it could be any doll really, and it's moved. And I think the scariest occurrence to one was when the head moved a bit, and I was waiting for the part where they said it would the eyes blinked, but it didn't do that. But I mean, as someone who has that phobia of dolls, I can tell you one thing that would scare the living hell out of me.
Funny enough, you should say that, my friend. I had a phobia of dogs for years and years and years, and all of a sudden now I've got quite a few of them, and I live on my own, and I live with them.
One thing I will say to that, Scott, is God bless to that, because as someone who's terrified of dolls, I don't think I can do that. Now, of course, I believe in overcoming the fear of a phobia, or in general overcoming fear, but just something about dolls, I just can't sit in a room with one. I just get very creeped out. My anxiety kicks up. I just feel like I can't be in the same room with a doll.
I don't know what it is with me, but I not in that. I will put it this way straight away. Not in that way at all. I'm not freaky. I'm not anything like that. But there's something about them that I like, and when you're investigating them and you're getting all this activity and stuff happening, and even when you can actually film it as well, it just sends a buzz down your spine. I don't know why, but it just do.
But I think also too, as a researcher, it helps because you're a researcher and you're trying to figure out what is causing this paranormal activity.
Absolutely.
What would
What
have
one of the things that I am trying to do is I got this real lovely old cabinet in my hallway, which I kind of call like a haunted orphanage. And I sort of put all the haunted dolls and haunted objects and stuff like that in there to like not contain it, but to like give them somewhere where they can sort of go where no one can't sort of harm them and investigate them and all that sort of thing. They can actually be safe and do what they got to do without anyone. You understand what I'm trying to say there?
Yes, I do. I totally understand 100%, especially because of what the practice is that you're in when it comes to research in general for those particular objects. So yeah, I totally understand 100%. But in general, though, as someone who has, whether it's collected objects of paranormal activity and has certain objects of paranormal activity, has it helped you as a researcher to know that you have these type of objects that you can look at and say, okay, this has reported paranormal activity. Let's try to get right into it and figure out what it is. I mean, has it helped you advance? I mean, also too. I mean, you mentioned that you'd also done some research in castles and whatnot too. So we'll get into a little bit about that in a bit. But has it helped you though advanced as a researcher to have all these items and to help your paranormal research?
It has in a way because it helped to not only one to understand the object, why the object is haunted, why it's come to be this way, why the spirit is there, how come the spirit is there, that type of thing, and yeah, I suppose it has in a way, yes.
Now, you had mentioned in the UK has a lot of paranormal activity. When was the first time you had gone out and done some investigation and you had some activity?
Oh Christ, I quite a number of times that has happened, but one specific time I can tell you it wasn't actually me it happened to, but it was on my show called no, actually it was on my other channel called Scott Bauer Paranormal, not my show. I will be uploading this video very soon, and I went to do a case for somebody. that was haunted by a demon, and we went along and investigated it, and all the females got scratched and all that sort of thing, and things are being moved and that, and it's quite a scary investigation, and that one really did stick in my mind because you hear about demons and things like that, you see the films and all that. You think to yourself, yeah, are they true or are they not true? But when you actually experience a case with a demon, now I've done two now demon cases. One you can see on my show, Ghost Trackers UK TV show, which we've just done. That's all on the channel. And yeah, demons are very, very real. They're real beings, they are, and they're not to be messed with. And I feel sorry for people that do have demon attachments. That's one of my most scariest times when, yeah, I didn't have any activity happen to me, but I witnessed other people, and that quite unearthed me.
I can imagine, sitting in there and then having all this activity happen. It definitely puts the hairs on the back of your head, stands up.
Oh God, yeah,
And two, no less. I mean, you mentioned about with demons. Demonology as a practice as a whole. I mean, I've never practiced it. Or I've never looked into it. I've heard obviously of demons, and it sounds quite ironic because I talk about a show that focuses on paranormal. But demons and demonology as a whole has always stuck with me as something that's been frightening to dive into a bit
yeah.
because of the nature of it. I mean, how for you when it comes to research with demons? I mean, how do you go about it normally?
Um, well, first of all, how you know there's a demon haunting you, you first of all would smell bad smells. You would get scratched, and they normally come in threes. A lot of stuff will happen round about sort of like 3 a.m. in the morning, that sort of type of time, and and that sort of thing. That's when you want to really worry if that sort of thing is happening.
And I think too that like with demons, when you have activity like that, that there is a chance that it could easily leave or it could easily stay. How many times have you heard a case where the activity has gotten so intensified that priests have to have been called in to perform an exorcism?
Well, I've not yet have seen, in my own opinion, I've not having to be able to call a priest out because I do the clearances myself, and I've cleared and got rid of two demons recently. Well, one recently, one going back a little while ago because they are quite rare cases. But I can. I'm not a priest. I'm not a demonologist or anything like that. But I can clear and sort out demons, and it is hard. It is a very, very hard thing to do, and it does take a lot out of you as well. And what I'm all about is I like to help people. If they got a bad spirit or part of ghost or demon, I like to at least try to help them to clear it and send it to the light.
I think that's what everybody wants when they're dealing with demons in their household, especially. I mean, I've never really spoken to anybody that's had a demonic encounter that I know in person, and it's been heavy, but I've had people contact me about having some sort of demonic activity, and it's hard to really take a grasp on things like that, especially if it's not that you'd want to practice in it, but or it's the principle of what you have to do. Because
It is like I said. I'm not a priest. I'm not anything like that at all. And we came across the first case by mistake. Now, bear in mind, I'm a psychic medium, I'm a paranormal investigator. I just gone along to do a ghost hunt to find out what is haunting a friend that called me out. And we ended up realising the worst, it was a demon. And we tried our utmost best. We researched it. We did this, we did that to try and figure out how to get rid of it, what to do, and luckily we got rid of it.
How did it feel for you to get rid of something that was causing a lot of damage? I mean, was it a big sign of relief? Did you feel that it
It
was?
it it felt like I won a lot of money. It felt like I put it this way. I can't say too much because I can't say too much. One, it's a case. Two, we're going to be on air eventually, and I can't really say too much about it. But it was doing things to her, and she couldn't sleep at night. Well, I'm gonna leave it at that. And when we got rid of it, and we gave the lady's life back to her, she got her life back. That felt so good. That's a different feeling altogether. And I just love the feeling that my team at the time, helped this lady to get her life back, and now she's got her life back, and that was a good feeling, a very good feeling.
I think any researcher, whether it's a cryptozoologist or a paranormal researcher, when they can get activity, whether it's on property or in general, somewhere they're investigating, and they get something, and more importantly, if it's a case that's more personal than it is, in this case with what you were doing an investigation on with this woman, I think it's a big sign of relief because not only are you relieving the
Absolutely,
eyewitness and the person who's had the experiences, but you're also, for you as a researcher, it helps you that you can help somebody else out and that it helps advance your research.
absolutely. And like I said earlier on, I don't charge for my services. I'm absolutely free. I don't charge for no money at all. I don't believe in it. If I can help somebody, I will, or at least try to anyway.
And that's a good way to look about it. It just goes to show that you're a very genuine guy, a very genuine researcher, and that you just want to help people.
Absolutely, that's one of my missions in life is to help people.
When it comes to investigations such as castles, now I want to just go ahead and
Yeah,
say this as somebody who is not from the UK. I've seen beautiful castles that I've seen through European photographs, but what are some places that have really stuck out as paranormal activity, and what are some experiences that you'd be able to share from some of these places?
um, one time I went to a ruin called Bracton Ruin in Sussex. I know you guys are not going to know where that is unless you Google it or something, but anyway, to give you a bit of a better idea, if you go onto my channel called Ghost Trackers UK TV show. I think it's episode 5, I do believe. I could be wrong. That's the episode that I'm referring to. We do a ruin and we went along, it was pitch black, and we were just doing our thing, calling out with the ghost boxes and everything. And we felt like we were being watched and that we weren't alone. And we was getting things chucked at us and stuff like that. That was pretty scary.
I can imagine when you're investigating somewhere that's like a ruin or somewhere that's abandoned, that the activity and the atmosphere is 10 times more frightening, aside anxiety.
It is, but hey, that's what we're there for.
Correct, and I agree with that. I know that in some places I've urban explored and researched abandoned, that I've had anxiety and I've had those feelings of something there, but it's also fun at the same time because, there could be something there and you can capture it on film or you can capture it through audio. I mean, personally, in the cases of what you research, have there been occurrences where you yourself have either felt something approach you or have you felt attacked by something?
Not attacked yet, luckily. I haven't experienced that, and I don't think I really want to. But as in feeling energy, spirit coming towards you or near you or around near your aura. Yes, I feel that all the time, or most of the time when I'm going out on investigations. I feel it all the time, just in everyday life.
The interesting thing about, or at least something that I don't know if this is particularly the most truest, I think that there are some activity like this in the US as well, but can you tell us a little bit about some of these cases I hear about elementals?
Elemental, yes, there is a few of them. I can't really tell you any that are being reported, like say within books or anything like that. But yeah, there are a few of them about over here.
Now, you can't really say much because of the energy that they possess and how it can follow, or it's just the principle that they are elementals and that they are bad.
They are bad, and yeah, is that a principle? Yeah.
I've heard of a lot of activities with elementals, particularly how they go about, and it's another reason why I think when it comes to paranormal research, I always kind of saw it as much tougher because of the activity spread that is brought about. And it doesn't have to be an elemental. It could easily just be a shadow person and how they can just do something to somebody.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I wanted to ask you too, in some of these ruins or in some of these castles that you've researched, have you collected and seen shadow people? Have you seen
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Loads of them, absolutely.
what would be, and it might sound like a goofy question, but really, I have it's always good to hear what paranormal researchers have to say. What is your particular type of entity that you would like to normally see? Do you prefer seeing apparitions? Do you see orbs, shadows, demons by any chance?
I've not yet. Funny enough, talking about demons and everything, I've not actually seen a demon, as in full form, spirit. I've seen what they can do. I've seen what they can do to people. Yes, but not as a spirit. So I've seen ghost spirits. I've heard them, felt them, shadow people I've seen. It's a normal everyday life for me to see that in investigations and at home.
I think seeing any type of spirit or in general anything paranormal is interesting and something that anyone can get enticed with. I think so at least because of the nature of them. Um, but also it comes with a price too. I think when it comes to research and when it comes to investigating in general on paranormal, I think that there is a bit of a line drawn between when you go about it and how it's done. Now, how do you normally
Yes.
do research? How do you normally set up? What is the normal protocol for you when you do
Well,
investigations?
to be honest, I class myself as a psychic medium. When I'm going to investigations or places like castles, ruins, or people's homes, I don't research it. My team do. I don't have nothing to do with the research because where I am a psychic medium, I don't have nothing to do with it. When we go to people's homes, I wait out in the car and my team will go in and interview that person, or if it's like a castle or if it's like a ruin, we will obviously we can't interview the castle or ruin, but I generally, yeah, I might know where we're going, like say a ruin for example, but I generally don't always know much about that place because I don't have nothing to do with the research because I like to pick it up myself as a psychic medium would.
And have you, what is some places that you yourself have either visited and have looked into that are heavy hotspots in the UK? There's two questions here, but that's the first one. What are some spots that you've looked into in the UK that are pretty heavy with activity?
There's one that I haven't been to yet, which I really, really want to go to, and I'm going to try to make it my mission to go there. Probably not this year now, but next year. Called 30 East Drive, and that is supposed to have quite a bit of activity in it, and I wouldn't mind visiting there. Um, and then for places that I've been to, funny enough, it's mainly people home.
I think in the UK or in general Europe, there's a lot of paranormal outbreaks that really do impact. And even though that you won't hear about it on your local news station or in general, you do know, and I think in many cases, one of the reasons why social media is great is to have that outlook where people can just go to and talk about it. And I'm sure that in these houses that you've been to, each house has a story.
Yeah, it does. But the most hotspot, or one of the most hotspots of the UK, is probably four to five most haunted places in the UK which we have investigated. It's called Cannock Chase. I think it's in Staffordshire, I do believe. And this place is a big, massive wood. I mean, it's bigger than a football pitch, or American way of saying football, soccer pitch. You can imagine 2 to 3 soccer pitches. That's how big it is. And this place has multiple claims of werewolves, black-eyed children, ghosts, witches, Bigfoot even. It's got a lot.
Is there a particular part of the UK that you've always like wanted to like set up a base camp to and just research out of the blue? Like it could be even just land or an acre or like a mountain somewhere. Um,
Um, yeah, there's a couple of places. I mentioned one earlier called 30 East Drive. That's one. And the second place I would like to go to would be the ancient Ram Inn, which unfortunately I ain't had the pleasure of doing yet, which I would like to do soon.
it's always interesting to hear what other investigators want and want to explore, especially because it is a very interesting type of exploration. It's a good passion.
Oh, absolutely, it's very interesting.
You also mentioned in one particular area involving a lot of cryptid like activity, whether you had mentioned werewolves and Bigfoot. Now, not to differ from the paranormal, but I wanted to ask you a couple cryptid questions. Do you have an
Yeah,
overall
go for it.
do you have an overall view and insight on cryptids?
Um, what, as in, do I believe or what I think of it?
As in, like, I mean, if you are a believer, do you have like a personal opinion on cryptids? Because, and the reason why I ask this question, Scott, is because there have been some paranormal researchers I've spoken to who are very much so Not saying that they're against cryptids, but they have a hard time believing them because they believe that they are some sort of supernatural like apparition. I know that sounds a little crazy, but from speaking to several researchers in particular, they've had their opinions on it, in which I totally respect that. But I wanted to ask you, what's your overall view or opinion on such cryptid?
Well, I consider myself as a paranormal investigator, which for me means that yes, I do investigate those quite a lot, but I do also, if given the chance, would go and investigate other paranormal claims, as in what you're talking about. Do I believe in them? Some, yes. Some, yeah, I do find it a bit hard to believe. But would I still investigate them? Yes, because I believe that there's a wall, and there's a there's a wall that is between this world and the next. And if you look over that wall, sometimes you can see a little glimpse of what that world or supernatural world is like. You get a little bit of glimpses here and there. And you know, things like ghosts are real, spirits are real, demons are real. I don't know if I want to shoot myself in the foot for this, but you know, who's to say that Bigfoot and werewolves ain't real?
And openly, too, I respect your opinion on it because personally, there have been people who've been very objective of Sasquatch being existent and werewolves too. Now, you mentioned werewolves. Are you familiar with the term dog man? It's very popular here in the United
Yes,
States.
we have Dogman over here.
Now, let me ask you this, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, I don't want it to come off as that, but do you see a difference between werewolves and dogmen?
To be fair, I've not seen a werewolf yet, and I've not seen a Dogman yet. Um, the only thing I'm sorry I can't answer that. That's just my little funny way of putting it. But to be fair, if I was in a place investigating, say, oh God, ghosts, and I was with my team, and all of a sudden we about claims of a dog man or a werewolf, whatever, and would we go and investigate it? Yes, we would, because it's still paranormal at the end of the day.
You mentioned about how there is a like a wall between our world and another world that is where these creatures would possibly be, or in general when it comes to supernatural paranormal. Um, would you think that these cryptids are indeed supernatural creatures?
Well, again, I can't answer that because I've never met one, and I would like to think they were, but I just can't really answer it because, like I said, I haven't met a werewolf. I haven't met um Dogman. I've seen UFO lights, if that's what you want to call them, but I've not seen a Dogman or anything like that. But I am very interested in them, and maybe one day, maybe one day I could be lucky and could be running off screaming to tell the tale.
You know, you
So I wouldn't be
mentioned
hanging about for very long, I'll tell you that much.
I see what you're saying. One thing I wanted to ask you too is because you had just mentioned it. You mentioned UFO lights. Now, did you see these lights in the midst of an investigation, or was it sometime after an investigation or before an investigation?
Funny enough, I had another experience when I was a very young boy, and I used to live not literally by water, but I was down the road from where there was a lot of water. There's an army barracks down a lot further than that, but all connected. And I would occasionally see lights, is how I can put it, in the sky at night, about 2:30, 3 in the morning. And I would see them all the time. And it got to the point where I would see them all the time. And as I got older, I would start going out looking for them, and then looking for them, and then I would see them, and then I would give off all different formation patterns and stuff like that. And oh, it was fantastic. I don't know what it was I saw, you know, term UFO, I suppose that means, I, um, flying object, that's the one. And, at the end of the day, I don't know what it was I saw, but it definitely wasn't man-made.
There have been some cases where people who have seen flashing lights of UFO lights, at least, they've also seen.
Yeah, I've seen that myself. I've seen that before.
I was just gonna say, there have been also in cases of flashing lights, mysterious fog-like lights illuminating. Um, when you had seen that, or in that case, ran into that, I mean, do you have an explanation on why something like that would illuminate in an experience like that?
Oh, I've tried researching them. I went over every single inch of what a helicopter is. I went over a single inch of what a plane is. You've got stealth that look like UFOs. They're very, very quiet. I went through all of that, and nothing came close to what I saw years ago.
Have you yourself sat down and worked with an Ouija board?
I got one right in front of me right now.
That's pretty.
But yes, I have. I collect Ouija boards.
That's interesting. Has there been any experiences with an Ouija board that you've had?
No, absolutely none.
Good. And I mean that in a good way because I know that there have been some cases where the Ouija board it can go one way
Oh
or the
yeah,
other.
yeah.
Have you
It
wanted an experience, or you've always just kept to respect the other side?
um excuse me. Here's the how can I put this? I haven't experienced anything with the Ouija board yet. I've seen things and I'm like, yeah or no, or I don't disbelieve in them. I do believe in them. I get really annoyed with people that don't know nothing about them, that go to use them and they don't open up and they don't close down, and then they automatically got a spirit attachment to them. If you don't know what you're doing with an Ouija board, do not use one, because otherwise it can go awfully bad.
You see all those videos online of people who mess with the Ouija boards and they have consequences to them.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm preferring to.
I think anyone who does not know how to mess with an Ouija board and has no idea on what to do with it should not mess with it, as you just said.
No,
But at the same time, I really think that should be a sort of guideline, especially because people I know, I don't know them personally, but when I look at some of these videos and either people get sick or they start to burn up or something happens to them, it really does draw the line between people who are the inexperienced
absolutely.
and the experienced.
Yeah, Ouija boards can be dangerous, as you just been talking about. But again, using the Ouija board in the investigation safely, in no danger, they're no different than using a PSP-7. Just an older way of communicating with spirit. Yes, if you're not knowing what you're doing, don't use them. Especially kids, do not use them. But if you're using them in a safe manner and you've got protection and you can close it down, by all means, go for it. Because I got no disrespect to the Ouija board or Ouija, because at the end of the day, it's another form of communicating with spirit, except for you using a board.
And that's a good way of looking at it. To take away from the Ouija board, though, Scott, I wanted to ask you a few other questions in reference to you from in your research. Or one of the things from being a young kid to have these encounters, and even to now as a medium, do you consider what you have as a gift?
Um, that's the hard one because I'm going to tell you a little story. My nan was a psychic. He, funny enough, played the Ouija board, and I believe that we're say gift for now. That my nan passed the gift down to me because he's passed now. It's been past number of years, and I believe I got my gift through my name. Nan, do I call it a gift? I probably would, but then again, anyone could probably talk to spirit in that. But it all depends on their wavelength as a person, as energy themselves. Then if they're gonna not want to communicate with them, I know not many people would do anyway. But they're not gonna see them. They got to be on that same wavelength. So yeah, I'm sort of in two minds with that gift thing.
That's a good way of looking at it, because some people have said that it is a gift and some others have disagreed and said that it's not a gift, and they kind of take it in the wrong context of it because of that nature. But I always thought that for those out there who are in the paranormal and they've had these encounters and they've had these experiences and abilities that they can do, I've always seen it as a gift because I mean they can do something that I can't, and that's something that
for
is
me,
pretty good.
for me, I won't call it a gift. I'll call it normal. That's normal for me. For me to walk into a room for the say 3 people, you're the fourth one, obviously, and I could see a fifth one. He might not have no face, or he could be dressed differently. And I think to myself, who's the fifth person? And all the other people could be going, what do you mean fifth people? There's only four in here. Like, for an example, one day I was on my way to an investigation to a friend's house, and it was broad daylight, and I was going up the road in a car, and I saw a Victorian woman without no legs. And I thought, cool, bloody hell, that's something you don't see every day.
Oh yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with that too.
So that's normal for me. That's normal way of living. Always have been ever since I was a little boy. Now I like to try and either help people that were haunted, like I was, and try and help them to get their lives back, or I would like to also help the spirit if need be.
That's a very good way of looking at it and a good thing to say. One other thing I wanted to ask you too, Scott,
Yep.
was as someone who's been doing this for a period of years, do you have any particular advice you would like to give out to those, whether they're paranormal enthusiasts or are researchers, investigators currently in the field that are starting out fresh or have been out for quite a while?
Yes, there is. Uh, Number one, if you're starting out fresh, please, please, please do not go out on your own. Always go with a friend, or if you can find a good team, go with a team like a public event because at least that way you can still enjoy yourself, but you won't get into any dangers like say if you went out on your own at pitch black, you went into an abandoned house, you accidentally went through the floorboards, broke your leg and couldn't walk, couldn't phone out, you're screwed. Please, please, please go with somebody and also tell somebody where you're going and how long you're going to be. Also, I would like to also say, please, 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 whatever you do not interrogate or annoy or upset the spirits because if there's a negative one there, you're also screwed. And also, please have a lot of respect for the spirits that are there. Go when you go there, say hello to them, thank them for letting you go there. We do it all the time, and it's not good to annoy the spirits. It's their home. It's where they are, and you're going into their home. It's like if someone came into your home and started annoying you, it'd be the same sort of thing. Please, if you're gonna go, I know a lot of people that have been in this for a very long time, investigators, they already know that anyway. But please have a lot of respect for these spirits because they're just like me and you, except for they ain't got a body and they're just there.
That's some very good advice because personally, I think a lot of people need to hear that, not just in paranormal, but also in cryptid worlds too. Scott, before we disconnect and sign off for the evening, I just want to thank you again for coming on this show. I really want you to go very far with what you're doing because you have a good head on your shoulder, and I really like the content you're putting out. And I really want you to go far and continue on, whether it's through paranormal magazines or the YouTube, because you've really got a good insight on things, and I really respect
Thank
your
you.
verse with things.
I got a announcement if that's okay before we shoot.
Promote anything you like. The
I've
microphone's all
been
you.
offered my own radio show, paranormal talk show. So I'm quite looking forward to getting into that and setting that up.
I really want you to go far with it. If you need any advice or need any help, be glad to send me a message. I'll be glad to talk to you about it.
Thank you, I really do appreciate that and thank you very much for inviting me on and it's been a pleasure.
It has been a very good pleasure, Scott. I want to thank you again. You be safe. You enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll be speaking to you
And I hope you
momentarily.
don't mind, I've been filming tonight as well on the Scott Bar Paranormal channel.
Yeah, real quick, can you, for the listeners, can you just one more time, and I'll leave links down below in the description of this upload. Can you just let the listeners know where they can find you at and where they could
Yeah,
check your
sure.
content?
You can find my personal channel on YouTube called Scott Bauer Paranormal. I do things like ghost hunt portal sessions, ghost box sessions, chats, soon to be live investigations and chats and that sort of thing. Also, you can find my other channel, which is my business channel, called Ghost Trackers UK TV Show. I have about 7 episodes on there, probably have 9 by then. That would be my first season 1. So if you can come along and subscribe to both channels, that would be most grateful.
You heard it from Scott, folks. Check out those channels and please, guys, subscribe to his content. Scott, I want to thank you again for doing the show. It's been a very good pleasure interviewing you.
Thank you, Chris. Peace, brother.
Peace out, my guy. You have a fantastic night.